everybody. What's up? Welcome to Most Excellent Entertainment. I'm your host, Keith. And with me this week is a pro wrestler with, honestly, she's probably one of the hottest pro wrestlers around right now. And she has a really cool, inspirational backstory. She's an advocate for a lot of really cool things. And just please welcome Vicki Venuto to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being on.
Yeah, of course.
So I've wanted to talk to you for a while, and I'm glad that we've got this opportunity. This is going to be cool. One of the things that I like most about you, I think, is how open you are about how big of a fan you were.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of wrestlers try to be cool, and they're like, oh, whatever. But man, you like post videos and stuff from your childhood. So, do you remember what it was that got you into wrestling in the beginning, and
Oh God.
what drew you
Yeah.
to the wrestlers that you liked and stuff?
Yeah, 100%. Great question. So, for me, my sisters watched it growing up in like the, Attitude Era. And, for me, I remember vividly seeing Stone Cold on the beer truck. So that was like 97. So I was like 4 years old. And I thought that was like the funniest, coolest thing as like this little girl, like just I don't know, like I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. And then it just kind of like I'm sure I was watching before that. That's
Right.
where I my first memory. Very iconic moment in wrestling history for sure.
Yeah.
Um so Stone Cold really was like my first like taste, and I just thought he was this badass dude. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And it just kind of spiraled from there, I there wasn't many women on the scene yet. China was just kind of coming around. So it was cool to see like a big brawly like chick and whatnot. But
Right.
I remember just like being like 4 or 5 years old and just like mimicking what they were doing. And quick story, when I was like 5, I think, I wanted to give my sister like an elbow drop, and there was like this like hook in our like on our wall that like we would hang clothes on, but it was like metal.
Oh
And
man.
I hooked into it at 5 years old. I still have a gnarly scar right here from five
Oh
years
man.
old. I had to go get stitches, and my mom, rushed me to the hospital. Like, what happened? And she's like, she was doing an elbow drop. I don't know. Like.
That's
So I
awesome.
got injured at 5 years old for doing an elbow drop.
That's
Um,
awesome.
but then it kind of just spiraled from there, and the Hardy Boys were really my first like big inspiration. I adore them. I get to see them
Yeah.
now in my career. It's just freaking the coolest thing ever. So they were my first real reasons why. And then Lita, I have her name tattooed on my neck. Like she was the woman who inspired me to kind of do this stuff, and I always wanted to be her and be like her, but I just don't go backwards. So
Right.
but regardless, she was the cool redhead chick, and she had the tattoos, and she was different.
Yeah.
So the Hardys and Lita too were huge, huge, huge inspirations for me to wanting to actually do this and be like that. And then it was John Cena, who was next for me. This is my Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
It was John Cena who was next for me, who, I thought he was like really corny at first. And I was like, oh, he's cute. And then he started to break into that like past that chain gang kind of stuff, and that's when I really connected to him. um or when he
Yeah.
kind of broke away from like being the heel Cena, when I started seeing more of him, and I just fell in love with him, and his mantras and everything. And so I had a plethora of inspirations, but I do have my Mount Rushmore.
Awesome. Awesome. So, when I was a kid, right, we moved into this house, and it was me, my brother, and my two cousins, and we set up all four of our mattresses and decided we were going to wrestle on them.
Oh
And
yeah.
I jumped off the frame for our bunk bed
Yeah,
and
oh, I've done that too.
bounced out the window.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Holy
Yeah. It
crap.
broke the window the first night we were in the house.
Oh
Like
my
my
god, you
butt went,
christened it.
went through it. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
That's
I didn't get hurt or
crazy.
anything. I don't have a
Thank
scar from
God.
it. Yeah, I don't have a
Oh
scar
my
from it
goodness.
like you, but it was pretty nuts.
Crazy. That's a funny memory.
Yeah, it's
The
pretty
things
good
we
stuff.
do.
Yeah. When you're a kid, you want to be like your heroes, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Hell yeah.
so as you were getting older or whatever, and um, before you actually got into wrestling, um, you went through a period where you struggled with addiction.
Hmm.
Um, just anything that you want to say about that and how you overcame it, and if wrestling helped at all or anything. I mean, I just want to throw that in there because that's part of the journey. So
Yeah. Yeah. So, for me, my goal was always wrestling,
yeah,
from a very young age. I always wanted to be a wrestler. I didn't want to be anything else. There was never anything else I wanted to do with my life, which is why, I'm putting so much into it and I'm so scared because the clock is ticking. I'm getting older and like I'm so scared of future me and like not
yeah,
making it. I'm
yeah,
terrified. Because it's all I've ever wanted, all I've ever wanted, all I've ever think about, dream about, lose sleep over, like my whole life.
right.
So going through school, elementary school, middle school, high school, and just having one goal, you're kind of your mindset. I was a young girl going to indie shows, and a lot of these guys I work with now, I watched on the indies as a kid. I
Yeah,
did youth clinics as a kid. So I'm 10 through 12 years old, taking bumps in the ring, like just learning how to do it, getting prepared for it. My parents were half supportive, half they didn't think that it would be a real career, and they
right.
weren't trying to not say, hey, don't go for your dreams. They just didn't want me to get hurt. I was an athlete. I played softball. I could have played on a collegiate level. I did not because I thought if you want to go to school for the thing that you want to be. So
Right,
I went to school to be a wrestler,
right,
not to I could
right.
have been in a D1 school and I probably would have got picked up because I was an athlete. I didn't know.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
thought
Yeah. That's
you
how it
go to
works
school for
now,
the
you
thing.
know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Shame on me. So now I'm in college because I was like, well, what the frig? But
Right.
anyway, I digress. So
I know
I
where.
go through high school and I had plans to go to college and whatnot, and my parents were very like, hey, you gotta go to college, gotta do this, gotta do that. And I said, look, I want to be a wrestler. I was already kind of like smoking pot and like getting into a little trouble, but not
Yeah.
at that level yet. I still
Yeah.
was an athlete. I was into sports. Like I had to, I was just like, you know what, let me just stay focused. And I told my parents, look, there's this company called Florida Championship Wrestling. It's in Florida. I was like, it is basically like developmental for WWE. I was like, but I can pay to go there. This was when you could pay to go to NXT. Before it was NXT, you could
Wow.
actually pay. I still have the form printed out at home that I printed out in 2011 to
Okay.
like show my parents. I still have it.
Yeah.
Um, I was like, I can pay to go there. This is what I want to do. Like, can we instead of thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars for
Right.
college tuition. Just give me a couple grand. Let me get on my feet. I'll go move out there. I'll go to school. I'll get a job. They shut it down. They were like, no, you got to go to college. This is a pipe dream. And again, they were not trying to hurt me. And I don't, maybe there's a little resentment there, but my parents are amazing. Like they have been supportive through everything. So, coming to all my events, whatever, like I have nothing bad to say. I know they were just trying to protect me. Like they didn't know that it was going to be something that I actually could do. They just didn't want me to
Right.
get hurt. They didn't want me to
Right.
get hurt emotionally and physically.
Right.
So I was bummed. I was bummed. I was like, you know what, man? Like, screw it. What's my
Yeah.
life? Like, I can't even do what I want to do. Like, what am I gonna do? And people just started I was a very peer pressure kid. So
Mm.
people were like, hey Vic, try this, try this, try this. So, no, I'm good. I got a game tomorrow. No, I'm good, I'm good. And then eventually I was like, ah, screw it. All right, I'll try it. And
Right.
then, I remember senior year of high school, um, this was after I already knew that I wasn't going to go to wrestling school and I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. And I was just like, well,
Yeah.
this is all I wanted since I could breathe. Like, now what? When you think you know what you want to do with your life and you can't for some reason, it's
Yeah.
just like, what? Like, I can't do this. Like, I didn't care, and I remember senior year of high school, I was messing around with like at the time it was like pills. People were doing like these pills and whatever. And
Yeah.
I was like, all right, like I'll try it. And I was doing it pretty regularly with people. And I remember I was like, there was the wrestling coach and he was our health teacher. And I never forget, like I had my head on the desk and he like banged on the desk and he's like, He's like, Israel, what are you doing? You don't feel good? And I was like, no, I'm okay. He goes, go to the nurse or something. You don't look good. And I'll
Ah,
never forget, I was walking up the stairs and I remember thinking, I'm like, oh my God, we just learned about this. I'm withdrawing. Like I was like, oh my God. Like, and then I was like, oh my God, I'm never doing this again. Oh my God, I can't believe because I did it so many days in a row. I was like, oh my God. Like, and then and then it just took over. The addiction, I
yeah.
didn't know that it was gonna affect me the way that it did. I had no idea. I was
Oh,
naive to it. And it just one thing led to another and it just kind of spiraled. Luckily for me, my addiction was very short-lived.
yeah.
Um, I would say my first year out of high school, so 2012, I got stone cold sober in 2015. So it
Yes.
wasn't this long drawn out thing. I went to rehab in 2015 four times. Went in, came out, overdose, came out, and then I was like, okay, I'm done. Like, I was
Yeah,
just like,
yeah,
this needs to stop. Because I was
yeah,
depressed. The addiction took over. I felt like I was worthless. It was like it's like the devil. And I remember
yeah,
just kind of sitting there, like my dad was like, I'm done with you. If you don't fix your life, I'm done with you. Like watching my mom cry, like their little girl, what happened?
yeah,
And it
yeah,
just hit me one day where I'm just like, what am I doing? I'm stronger than this. Why am I letting this happen? And before all the addiction happened too, I was abused sexually and physically, so I'm
mhm,
16 years old, 17 years old in courtrooms testifying against men who hurt me sexually and physically. I mean, so
yeah,
before, the addiction took place, that had happened. So there was a lot going on that, a 16-year-old and a 15-year-old should have never went through.
right.
Um, and my parents too having to go through that with their little girl. It was very traumatizing. And it hit me when I started talking to therapists and when I was getting sober, like what happened and why did this
Yeah,
happen and my issues, and being able to come out on top of that and say, you know what, like I remember I had a year and a half sober and I was like, you know what, I am going to freaking wrestling school. Like let's do this. Like, I'm like, I am gonna regret this for the rest of my life if I don't do this. So
yeah.
December 10th, 2015 is the date. So we're 10 years in.
Yeah, awesome. Well, congratulations on 10 years.
Thank you.
That's huge.
Yeah.
So so yeah, so once you got sober and you knew you were going to go to wrestling school, what was that process like? What school did you end up going to? How'd you find it?
Yeah.
Honestly, it seems like you're pretty determined and there was the internet, so I'm sure it wasn't like
Oh
a
God, yeah.
long hard road, but yeah.
So a lot of the guys I grew up with were wrestlers and
Oh wow.
indie wrestlers, and I knew so many people who were already involved in wrestling. So for me,
Nice.
I was just, it was an Anthony Bowens. I grew up with him. I got him on the horn. The Carino brothers, who were like the Heavenly Bodies in Wrestle Pro in New Jersey. Like, there was a lot of guys that I already knew. Falaba. A lot of guys that I knew who I was able to kind of call up and be like, hey, I'm ready. Like since
Nice.
I was a kid, when you coming? When you coming? Get your head out of your ass. When you wrestling? So I was able to have a connection. I went to Creative Pro New Jersey. It was under Pat Buck and Danny Moff, Sean Donovan. They trained me. Danny Moff really, because Pat had gotten picked up by WWE as a producer when I joined in 2018. So it was really Danny Moff who was really hands on with me and really taught me how to be a wrestler. Um, and yeah, it was just one of those things where I had some time with sobriety. I was doing AA meetings. I was really like serious about it, and I even to this day, like I will never look back. Like I have no
Yeah.
desire, no nothing. It was just a phase, unfortunately, but it was a phase that made me who I am, and I don't take it for granted. I don't regret it. It sucked. I hate what I put myself through, my family through, and other people, friends and family, but it made me so strong. It made me so smart and wise beyond my years that I wouldn't change anything.
Right.
But I remember sitting down my family because again it was a scary thing, but I was an adult. I lived on my own. I was able to buy my own car. I was able to do all these things on my own with the blessings of sobriety. So I
Yeah.
sat my family down for dinner and I was like, we all got to talk. And I was like, look, just letting you all know. I was like, next week I am joining wrestling school. And I, told my mom, all the guys that were going to be there that she knew from me as a kid. I was like, and I'm doing this. And they were like, okay. They were very supportive. They're like, look, this is all you ever wanted. So
Yeah.
this is your life. We trust you now. Go for it. So everyone was very supportive. It was a big transition, and it took a little bit of time to like really get my foot in the door. But once I did, I have not looked back once.
That's awesome. Man, so I'm from upstate New York, even though I'm living in Indiana now.
Yeah.
And Danny Moff is back home on the East Coast, like a legend, you know.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
So what was it like going in there and meeting him and getting trained by him and all that stuff? And how did your relationship develop? Because now, I mean, it seems like you guys are obviously pretty close,
Yes.
and you had a teacher versus student match and all that good
Yes.
stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, he's my sensei for sure.
Well,
You know, he's been with me through everything, a lot of uglies, a lot of ups, a lot of downs. He's been by my side through everything. You know, he's tough, you know. He's a no joke, old school style trainer, but I'm an athlete, so like I respond to that. Like I like to
so,
be coached. I'm not one of those like, well, I could do it better, or you're wrong, or no, 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 no. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. I'm gonna
yeah.
believe the people who made it to the dance. Like I'm gonna believe you. Also I love Bully Ray so much and have a relationship with him. I love that no BS, tell it straight to my face, tell me what it is. Like I love that and I need
Yeah.
that, but that's what I respond to. I don't want people sugarcoating things and oh well, you know, you could do this. No, tell me what I'm doing wrong so I can fix it.
Right.
Um, and that's Moth, you know. So I was trained very old school. I was trained very rough, and I wouldn't change anything, you know. And for that, he made me a pretty solid wrestler. You know, there's always things I can improve on and fix. A lot of my struggles, and I talk about this with him, is you know, no disrespect to anyone in my area, but we all kind of wrestle the same people over and over again, and
Sure.
it's not doing anything for anyone. You know, when you kind of get stuck, you can only do so much. You can only do the same thing so many times. You know, so it kind of, you know, your level kind of just goes like this instead of
Yeah.
rising because you're just not being tested anymore. And that's for me and other girls. We always make jokes. I'm like, we're all sick of each. We love each other. We trust each
Yeah.
other, but we're sick of each other, you know? So
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, and the big thing is you know, he always tells me you got to get out of the bubble, you got to do this, and I'm trying. It's very hard. It's very hard to get bookings. Um, you know, despite popularity or not, it's very difficult. You know, these companies, their emails are constantly going, 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 and that's even with talent that's in AEW, ROH. So it's very hard to find a place to go that's not your usual home bases. But
Right.
Mop has always been very stern on that, and you know, I had the teacher versus student match because I wanted to prove that I can hang with the big boys. I want to prove to the world, to myself, to him that I could do this, you know,
Yeah.
and I did. I didn't win, but
That's
I hung.
right on. Well, he's a big dude, so
Yeah.
um so talking about not facing the same people and whatnot, in 2025, you had a pretty big year. Like just looking at the wrestlers who you had a chance to wrestle.
Yeah.
Um, what does that mean to you? Like when you get the opportunity to step in the ring with like Indy Hartwell or Deanna Perosa or someone of that level? Because I mean, when you wrestle someone that good, you have to get better. You know, there isn't really much of a choice. So
Yeah.
what is that like?
Yeah, so I never got to wrestle Deanna. It was supposed
Okay.
to happen. It didn't.
Oh,
Very upset about that. That
yeah,
is still on my
sure.
bucket list, 100%.
Okay.
But you know, I wrestled Tessa Blanchard, who
Yeah.
to me is one of the best women's wrestlers on the planet. There's no question. She's undeniable for a reason, 1,000%. My personal opinion. I waved that flag. But you know, she tested me. She really did, and I needed that. And it was one of my best matches. It was literally one of my best matches. I have it pinned on my Facebook. Like it was
I
one
know.
of my best matches.
Yeah.
You know, and I appreciated her kind of taking me under her wing and just being patient with me and teaching me. And she was proud, you know, she really was. And I appreciated that. Indy Hartwell, same thing. You know, I loved working Indy. We had super great chemistry,
Yeah.
great chemistry. We just flowed together.
Yeah.
It was beautiful, perfect, sweetheart. Loved working with her, and I have a sort of a little storyline going on with her at ACW Poughkeepsie, so I'm excited to see where that goes. Um, but yeah, you know, for me, it's all about wrestling the TV talent. For me, I work very TV, and a lot of people on the indies don't. And it's not that they don't necessarily understand it. It's just everyone is just so focused on what can I get in, how much can I get in this amount of time. Where I'm just like, I just want to get the reps for TV in because that's where I want to work. You know,
Yeah.
so I'm not looking to put on a WrestleMania match every indie match and kill myself. I want a
Right.
long career. I want a Miz career. That's what I want. And
Yeah.
I he's my blueprint. Like John Cena was always my blueprint for wrestling and structure and everything too, because he was very safe. And Miz as well. It's like that's my blueprint. Like how to be a safe wrestler. I don't have to go crazy. I don't have to do all these crazy things, but I'm an entertainer. I take care of my body. I preserve my bump card, and I'm trying to do that so I can use it for television. So
Yeah. Right on.
yeah, and maybe it's been a detriment to me over the last 7 years. I don't know. Maybe because I haven't been putting on these banger classics that I know I can do. I just don't.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to save it for when I go. But it's just so tough to be in that position of, where do I go next, or how do I get noticed, or and the thing is too, it's like people I am noticed. It's just I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's
No,
a
I
lot.
mean, personally, um, I think being solid, will and being reliable and having good matches will get you in a better position in the long run.
Yeah.
That's what I would hope anyway.
Yeah.
You know. Uh
For sure.
so you touched on a couple things that I wanted to talk about. So
Mhm.
you talked about being TV ready, having TV matches. Um the first thing is you post a lot of videos and things like that, and you do podcasts, and
Mhm.
you're very well spoken. You've done some radio stuff. You have a really good presence. How important do you think that is for independent wrestlers now? Because I think I used to promote shows, and a lot of guys don't even bother cutting promos. Don't even bother to have as much of a character. Um,
Yeah.
but if you want to get to the next level, how important do you think stuff like that is?
I think it is. It's not just for the company and whatever, but it's also like educational for yourself, and being able to kind of do these things. Like I'm that Cody Rhodes where like I'm talking to myself in the mirror all the time because I'm just cutting promos and speaking, and I try to do that, as often as I can, and speak eloquently so I make sense, and but I'm also real. And I think for me it's not hard for me to just be myself. It's not hard for me to I don't have to make up a story for Vicious Vicky because I'm just using my real life. And it's one of those things where it's like, hey, like I said, is it a detriment to me to be Victoria, me, as
Yeah,
opposed to Vicious Vicky, but turned up to 10? Is that a detriment? Should I be a gimmicky thing? It's like, and I did that. I was
yeah,
the demon, Vicky, the devil's daughter, or whatever I was doing. And it was awesome and different. And I invested like all this money in my own smoke machine and my own lights and my own candles and outfits for people to walk me to the ring. Like I invested in the character,
yeah,
and it went over. People were like, "This is effing awesome! Like, what is Vicious Vicky doing? Like, where's our Jersey girl? Where?" And I was like, I just wanted to show that I could do something different. I had the face
yeah.
paint. I would come out real slow, and I would drag the belt, and it was just like it was freaking awesome. I had a great time doing it. I actually miss doing that, but
Right.
the difference is, I connect with the fans so much. And it's because I'm real, and it's because of my story. It's because of how I am, my sympathy when I'm a baby face and whatever. Like, yeah, I'm the bad chick. That doesn't mean I'm a bad person or a bad guy. It means I'm a badass. And that's what I'm trying to put across is that I'm not bad. I'm not a bad guy. I'm a badass. And there's a difference. Like I'm someone who's been through everything, been through the ringer. And these are the things that I try to pitch to these companies. Hey, this is what you're getting, and this is what you can do with me. Like, what is the problem? Like
Yeah,
it just
yeah,
gets
yeah.
to a point where I'm like, you see generic wrestler A, B, C, D, E, and then
Right.
you have someone with this built-in story who can use it. A lot of people, I'm kind of going off the rails here, but a lot of
You're good.
people make me, or because I always ask people who are like higher up on the chain, like, how do you navigate being at promotion A and they want you to be a bad guy? Then you're at
Hmm.
promotion B and they want you to be a good guy. Then you're at promotion C and they want you to be a tween. Like it's just like you're trying to portray something, but you're going
Yeah,
to different jobs and you're being different things. So that's where I've always struggled. And I'll admit that. I can
Yeah.
be a bad guy and I can be a good guy, no question. I prefer sometimes to be the aggressor in a match because I like to lead. Because I
Right.
find myself a lot of the times I'm the baby face and I'm leading the heel, and that's not how that works.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so and I debuted as a heel. I was a heel for a few years, and then it just grew where I'm spitting in a kid's face, not really, and they're cheering for me.
Right.
It just turned out that way, and that's just what it is. That's
Yeah.
how the bad chick was born. I'm a badass, but they love me, you know.
Right. Right.
But you know, it's just one of those things. It's like very hard to navigate that, and a lot of places, you know, will be like, "Hey, Vicky, you're a heel," and I'm like, "Okay, I got
Right.
you. Whatever you need." I come out and they're cheering for me. I'm just like, and I'm doing the heel thing. I'm doing the
Yeah.
heel thing, doing
Yeah.
my job, and they want to cheer for me. People want to root for me, and my bread and butter for me, I feel, is sympathy
Mhm.
and making people feel something and selling and you know all these things. And I like I said, I talk a big game because I watch myself back and I'm like, I don't understand. You know,
Yeah.
and like I said, there are so many things that I can work on, footwork, little things, you know, that just comes with reps and wrestling different people and wrestling at a faster pace, which I'm
Yeah.
not doing right now because I'm not getting those reps with people who are better than me.
Right.
But you know, it's really just a matter of, you know, promoting yourself, like going back to what you had said, it's promoting yourself, being comfortable doing these promos, doing the interviews, letting people get to know you and
Yeah.
continuing to do that because you're selling yourself at the end of the day. It's a selling point.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think just a couple things on what you said. Like the first thing is, I think that if you are obviously excelling at being a babyface and getting sympathy from the crowd, and someone's booking you as a heel, they might not be watching your stuff. Like that would be, I mean, they might look at the Vicious Vicky and the name and the tattoos and stuff and be like, "Oh, booking her as a heel."
Yeah.
That's irresponsible on their part, and that would be my quick thinking of it. Um,
Yeah, you'd be
yeah,
surprised.
yeah, I know, yeah, yeah. And then the other thing is if the fans are booing you, then I don't think the promoters are cheering you when they're supposed to be booing you. The bookers probably aren't telling the right story.
Yeah.
Just my
Yeah.
opinion, but
No, a
as
hundred
someone
percent. And
who's
again,
done it,
it's
you know.
even like, and there are a lot of fans who they get smart to it, and I'm just
Yeah,
like they're
yeah,
smart fans, and I'm just like, just boo me, just stop,
yeah,
you know, like
yeah,
because I want it to work out for the company, and if my job is to put a baby face over, I'm gonna do
right,
that, and I can do
right,
that. I'm a good heel. I am. I don't hate being one. I'm not one of those that's like, oh, I have to be a baby face. I don't. I just
right,
am. Like,
yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean? But I'm the badass. So I think what people and it kind of just dawned on me, but I also have noticed this over the last few years. I think why people do that is because I think they see that it's like the badass,
yeah,
and you can have someone like be a heel that people are just cheering, you know.
sure,
But also when people put me in the heel role, I also feel like it's a compliment because I
Mhm.
the heel leads the match, you
Yeah,
know,
for sure,
and I'm a safe pick. I just am.
yeah,
You know, I'm very safe in the sense of how I wrestle, my style. I'm
yeah,
a good base. You know, so I feel like people, it's more of a trust thing, and I have to kind of start looking at it that way, you know.
right on. And I mean, honestly, so my best friend is a wrestler, and the times when I would go see him, I would boo him. I mean,
Yeah,
or
see?
cheer him like
Yep,
cheering him cheer him in the way that you would cheer a heel, I guess, because there are heels who I like, and I can cheer them and
exactly.
not be
Yes.
like, "Go get him,"
Yeah, yeah.
So, um, the other thing that you mentioned when you were talking earlier is being inspired by John Cena.
Yes.
Um, so during his retirement tour, you wrote a pretty cool, pretty lengthy letter to John and posted it, and he actually responded,
Yeah.
and you got to meet him, and he reposted it, and 30 million people saw it. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's a
Yep.
lot of freaking people,
I
man.
know.
It's-
So 30 million people know who I
yeah,
am now.
yeah, yeah. So what was that like? And did John ever actually reach out to you personally, or was it just the? I mean, nah, I say just, but or was it only? Let's say only the repost.
Yeah. a little bit. My boyfriend does like a he has like a website. He's a journalist. He covers a lot of press for WWE, TNA. He's always in the press boxes. Not a dirt sheet. Very very pro talent, talent, talent,
Good.
talent.
Yeah.
Um, and he had written a piece to have like a bunch of people who had worked with him. I know Jesus Rodriguez had wrote a piece. Like anyone who worked with him, just putting over him and his career and like a letter to him essentially.
Yeah.
So I wrote one because he was a big part of my reason in my life and my story. So I wrote one. And he put it on his site, it got some traction, whatever. And then when Bailey had done the Lodestone seminar and had all those girls go out, I put in for it, and I was like really upset. And I was like, oh, I know all these girls. Like, I'm so happy for them. I was sharing all of it because I thought it was the coolest thing. I was like, this is a great group of ladies, like whatever, because I'm very
Yeah.
pro the girls and I want everyone to succeed and whatever. And then I saw that John Cena went there, and I started bawling my eyes out. I'll
Oh,
be honest, I started crying my eyes out because I'm like, oh my
yeah.
god, like that he was with them for like 8 hours, and just I'm just like, man.
Oh,
I was
man.
like, what I would have done to been in a freaking ring with John Cena critiquing my match, man.
Yeah.
Damn, like
Yeah.
sick to my stomach. But I was happy for everyone. But I was very upset. He was one of my
Yeah.
favorites, I was like, damn. All right. So I was like, you know what? I'm like, I'm gonna post this letter publicly and I'm gonna tag him. And I don't know if he's gonna see it. Like I don't know if you're gonna see this. I'm like, but
Right.
I need you to know in my words what you meant to me and how I feel.
Yeah.
And if you see it, you see it. If you don't, you don't. Put it out there. Started getting a lot of traction for me. It's like
Right.
2,000 likes, and I'm like, okay, let's go. This is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it was like less than 24 hours later, but almost like the next day. I remember I was like, chilling, working from home, doing my thing, and I looked at my phone and I just saw John Cena on my phone, like my notification. I'm like,
Okay.
I was like, wait, what? People were blowing me up, Vicki, like, because in case I didn't see it, like screenshotting it, like
Yeah. Yeah.
he answered. I'm like, what the? I was like, oh my god, like, I literally, my boyfriend was off from work that day, so he was like in the other room, and I was like, John Cena responded.
That's
So
awesome.
he's like, what? I'm like, yeah. Um, so I was so excited. I started crying. I'm a crier. I
Just
am
hey.
a crier. Like
Yeah.
only with wrestling. Only with
Right.
wrestling.
Right.
Because
Right.
it's all I've ever loved or known or ever. Last night, Mike Santana won the TNA title. Cried. Like
Man.
I'm
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
anyway, I'm sorry.
No
So, I
worries.
was all upset and excited and he responded. I it was awesome. And I was already booked to be an extra for Saturday night's main event. I put in for it
Oh,
prior
wow.
because I wanted to be there. I knew like out of all the dates that were coming to
Yeah.
the area, I wanted to be there. And I was very
Yeah. Yeah.
grateful. Thank you to the man who books. Thank you for booking me for that day. It all worked out. But I was already going. So I was like,
Yeah.
I'm very, very close with all the Busted Open people, and LaGreca had me on. We talked about it. Bully too has been
Yeah.
paramount for me in many ways in my career. Helped me with a lot of stuff. They were all like, "You have to get this picture. You have to get the picture. And you have to talk to him. You're gonna be backstage. You got to talk to him.
Right.
So even
Right.
off the air, like you got to talk to him. Okay, fine."
Right.
So I get there, and this is his night. This is his night. This is the end. This is the finality done, like of John Cena in a
Right.
wrestling ring. So I'm like, I can't just walk up to this guy. Like, and granted, anytime you see him backstage, anytime, because I've been an extra quite a few times during his last tour.
Yeah.
Always says hello to everyone, shakes everyone's hand. Just he is as great as he seems on the surface. He's just a wonderful person.
Awesome.
Um, and so we're all standing around, and all the extras who were there were so like excited for me. Like they were like, you have to like they were pushing me. Like they weren't trying to meet him, but they wanted me to do it, because
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
knew
Yeah.
like it went viral. There's
Right.
nothing you could do, but it went viral.
Right.
So I heard him and I went into one of the rooms and then I heard him and I went to come out and he was down the hallway. I was like, damn. So then I went to the bathroom and then a couple of the guys were like waiting in this line by like the bathroom and then he walked by. I came out of the bathroom. The guys were like, Vicky, you just missed him. I'm like, what the frig?
Man.
So like so it happened like 3 times. Then I was like, you know
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
If this is the hot spot hallway, I'm just gonna stand here for like 5 minutes with you
Right.
guys. Like I was like, just stand here with me, just for 5 minutes. Sure enough, he came walking down the hallway again. And I looked at him and I just, he was like, hello. And he put his hand. I was like, thank you so much for reposting that. And his eyes, can I curse?
Yeah, yeah,
His eyes lit up when I was like, "Thank you so much for reposting that." And he was like, "That was you? No shit. Oh my God. Come here." Gave me a huge hug. It was freaking awesome. Gave me a huge hug. He was like, "Oh my God." He's like, "10 years, huh?" He goes, "Wow,
yeah.
that's incredible." He goes, "I gotta say," he's like, "what you wrote brought me to tears. Thank you very much." He's like, "I'm so happy you could be here. Thank you for being here tonight." And I was like, "Thank you for life."
Right,
I'm like,
right.
"Me, thank you."
Yeah,
This is your night. Um,
yeah.
and then I hugged him again, like, and then he was like, "Do you want to get a picture?" And I'm like, "Yes." So
That's
I got my
awesome.
picture, So he asked me, and I think I was scared to ask him because when you're
Yeah,
backstage, you have to be very professional. And there's an etiquette. Don't take pictures. Don't do that.
right.
But I think I was forgiven. I think
Yeah,
I'm booked again, so I think I was forgiven.
heck yeah.
I think everyone understood. Even like a lot of the producers and a lot of the guys backstage were very happy. They're like you got to talk to him. I was like, yeah. They're like, okay, good. Like a couple of the workers, everyone was really rallying behind that moment for me, which was freaking awesome.
That is
Um,
awesome.
but he knows how extras are. So him asking me, "Do you want to take a picture?" He knows I wanted to take a picture, and he did it
Yeah,
because he knows I was probably going to be scared to ask. So thank you,
right.
John Cena.
That's awesome.
But top moment of my life. That was, you know, same thing with the Hardys, like meeting them
Yeah,
and being able to hug them on a first name basis. Hey, hey, like
yeah,
they're heroes. What more could you ask for? Like it's the coolest thing ever.
yeah,
I'll never forget that.
definitely. So talking about being an extra, and things of that nature, you are wearing a TNA shirt. You're in Dallas.
Yes.
It's pretty easy to put it together. Um, so you're in Dallas for what is arguably the biggest week in the history of TNA wrestling.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
yeah, what is the atmosphere like there right now? And what is you've worked for TNA, you've been in the ring for them a couple of times. What is your relationship with TNA right now? As
Yeah.
far as much as you can say of it, anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Great environment. I love TNA. I always have, even as a kid growing up, always watched it, always watched it. But more so now because I've built relationships with people in the company, and Tommy Dreamer's been amazing. Like I said, I'm very cool with all the Busted Open people. They've been so good to me. I have no complaints. I just huge shout out to them. I appreciate people believing in me and taking a chance on me. So I'm very grateful. But it's one of those things where I want to work here. I really do. And it's funny because a lot when I was helping out yesterday, because I'm not above anything. I will help out. I will do whatever I can for the company, for the betterment of TNA. I'm on board to help.
Heck yeah.
Hence coming out here. And I was helping with some stuff upstairs, and a couple fans noticed me and were asking for pictures, and then now I'm blowing up on Twitter, like, and I feel so bad because people are tagging me every day, which is a great problem to have, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
Sign Vicious Vicky. Why is Vicious Vicky not signed? It's like, look, man, like it's cool.
Right.
Like this is part of the game, and I have to reel people in sometimes. Be
Yeah.
appreciated, and it's very appreciated. I want people to make noise for me. That's very important. But I reel people in sometimes, like, hey, man, look, like let's not ruffle any feathers. I'm happy to help out. I'm happy to do whatever I can do. Whatever I can do to help and prove that I want to be a part of this company, I'm gonna do it. So
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I love TNA right now.
yes,
I think that they give people a reason to care about everyone. Like there isn't a wrestler on the roster who doesn't have a story and doesn't
yeah,
have a direction. And I
yeah,
think that's freaking awesome.
yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Yep,
So, I mean, and I watched the show last night and I thought they did an incredible job.
yeah,
So
they
I'm
did. A
really,
lot of people are hating because that's what they do, the internet
oh,
wrestling community. But they did what they did, and I thought it was great. So
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to Bound for Glory. I'm a big JDC fan, so that's
oh
gonna be a
sweet,
big deal. Yeah, watching him wrestle his last match.
yeah, yeah,
Gonna be
yep,
something. Well,
yep.
sorry, my son is in here trying to show me a basketball game.
Uh-oh.
Okay, right on. I see it, buddy. Okay, I see it. I'll see you later. He's playing his Nintendo Switch, and apparently something
Oh,
really
that's
important
cute.
happened.
I love it.
Look, he juggled it. Look, he has
Okay,
the
bud.
ball, and then look.
All right, baby. Daddy's doing something important right now, though. You know I'm doing my podcast. All
I
right.
love it.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
He stayed home from school today. and now he's bothering me about
I love it.
yeah. Um, but yeah, so let me readjust. My
I
son is
know
over
you're
here,
good.
and yeah. Um, so yeah, where do you see things going now? In 2026, I know we just started, but like I said, you had a big year in 2025, and I think personally, I mean, you won a bunch of championships. You've wrestled some pretty important people. You got in the PWI 250. It feels to me like when I said you're one of the hottest wrestlers right now, I really meant it. It seems like you've got some momentum. The name Vicious Vicky, I that's another thing that's really cool about TNA is they when you appear on their show, you appear as yourself.
Yeah.
You know, they don't make you be I don't know,
Yeah. Yep.
whatever. So your name is starting to carry some weight. Like what do you think is going to happen in 2026, or what do you hope? Like if you had a crystal ball, like
My goal really is to be signed. I'm hoping TNA. That's where I really want to be. That's where I feel fit. I feel like I fit here. The talent I know, and everyone's so nice and welcoming. And when you walk in and you're on a basis where you know the talent and you have a rapport with the talent and you're hugging them and you're able to kind of chill with them, like that's to me that's awesome, and I feel very comfortable there. And it's just one of those things where, like I said, I'm getting older, not younger. I have a solid decade left. I'm an athlete, like I'm ready to go. But I know it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, but there's really nowhere else I'd rather be right now than TNA. So I'm hoping that by some prayer that works out for me.
yeah,
And for me, when I'm there, like I said, I'm a crier. I'm very emotional. So when I'm there, I watch the show. I like to watch it and be a part of it and experience it. So I'll kind of sneak out and watch because I like to feel the energy of the crowd because I like to envision myself walking out. I like to
yeah,
envision myself being a part of that. And when I feel that energy, it just makes me want it more and more and more and more. And I get emotional because I want that to happen more than anything, like I want it to happen. I want to be able to just say like, yeah, I lived my dream. Yeah, I signed a contract and I was on television. I was able to actually live my childhood dream. And in many ways I did. And in many ways I did succeed and I did do really cool things. And I've been to WWE and I had a tryout and I've done, wrestled all these people and I've been all over, but it's just a matter of like when now, you know.
yeah, for sure. Um, so I went to my last question because it was the only one in my head. But while you were talking about
Yeah.
dreams and whatnot, I remembered another question that I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
So my son kind of threw me off the rails for a second. But you post a lot of stuff about motivation and dreams and inspiration and things like that.
Mhm.
It seems like you post that stuff as much for yourself as the people who might be reading it.
Yes.
And I was just wondering, like, how do you keep that mindset? How do you constantly look for things to make you want to achieve? And how important is that to pass on to other people and to keep in your mind? You know?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, it's like one of those things where I was always a dreamer and I was always somebody who had a goal. And my goal kind of got halted because of, things that had happened in my life that kind of set me back. So now it's like that I'm in full control of my life and full control of what I want to do with my life. I feel like I I did come out on top and I was able to kind of prevail from all the setbacks and all the negative in life. And, life still shows up and bad still happens, but I just keep going. And I think my message is to show people like, hey, like when you want to quit or when you're having a bad day or when you're depressed or when you feel like life sucks, because it's going to happen all the time, just keep going and know that your dreams and anything that you want is right in front of you still. For me, it's like anytime I'm even at a show, like my dream is sitting right in front of me. I can't have it yet, but it's there. And it's like, I know it's attainable. I know I can do it. And if I just keep going through the mud, eventually I'm going to be in it. So I think that's why I'm very adamant about sharing, like my dreams, my story, because I'm not just, a pretty girl who's a wrestler or who wants to be a wrestler. I'm like, no, 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 I'm a girl who had a real life, is a real person who's been through some stuff, who was a fan her whole life, and who just is living the dream. I am living the dream. But I haven't. I don't think I even scratched the surface yet on what I can offer to a company. So I let people know that anything is possible.
Right on, right on. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty good place to wrap things up.
Yeah,
And before we go, fully go,
yeah,
if there is anything that you want to plug, let people know where you're going to be, where they can find you.
yeah.
Go right ahead and do that. The floor is yours.
Yeah, just follow me. Instagram, Vicious Vicky Venuto, and then on Twitter, I'm Vicious Vicky. I will post, my upcoming matches and stuff like that. And watch Genesis on Saturday.
Heck yeah. All right, awesome. So, Vicky, thank you so much. This has
Yeah.
been really cool. I've enjoyed talking to you. Um,
Yeah. Thank
and
you.
thanks. And before we go, I also want to thank my producer, Tyler Martin. Just like every week, if it wasn't for Tyler, no show. So, thank you,
Thanks,
Tyler.
Tyler.
Yeah, Tyler's awesome. I want to thank everybody who watches the show every week and listens to it on Spotify or iTunes or wherever. We've got merch. There should be a link somewhere. It'll pop up in the video and it'll be down in the description. Go grab some stuff. We would appreciate it. And support Vicky. Coming up, we've got Matt Valentino, who's a pro wrestler. We've got Moonlight Seekers. I'm going to be interviewing an entire band, so that should be fun. And Jason Connolly from Brother Meat. That's our month. So keep checking it out. And I want to thank Vicky again. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I have been Keith, and this has been Most Excellent Entertainment. See you next week.